Welcome everybody to this afternoon's Surviving and Thriving Through the COVID Challenges. My name's Chris Fordy and I'm looking forward to spending up to an hour with you to take you through some things that we would like to talk to. We've also got a guest speaker, Wendy Tunnicliffe, who's going to talk about her experiences in helping some of her clients work their way through the local, especially the local grants in the York area. So what I'd like to do initially is start our session with, as similar as we often do. As you know, local action coach, business coaches for York and Leeds, our prime driver right now is to help as many people as we can get access to the really valuable business growth tools that we have and business growth services. So please let us know how we can help you best. I'm going to ask you how you're feeling in a second. I'm quite interested in the situation as has changed recently. Can I just check everyone can hear me? If you just pop your hand up when you get a minute or just make a comment. Let's just double check everyone's there. Great, some hands up. Thanks, guys. Super. Okay, we've got quite a few of us on the call, so I'm looking forward to going through some things with you today. So let's just go on to this phase. So as we always do, and I'm going to have a bit of a chat about this afterwards. Can you just share your current thoughts and feelings? Sorry, guys. If you share your thoughts, how you're feeling today in the chat box, which is in the taskbar. How you're feeling and rate yourself out of 10. I'm going to put your hands down for those that have done that. Thank you very much. So I'm going to, if you could just put that in the chat bar. We've got some chats going on. Great. Chat. Let's see. Great, Wendy's here. Pasca's an 8, great. And how are you feeling? So out of 10, and how would you describe that at the moment? Would be great. It's Friday. Well done, Pasca. Absolutely. TGI Friday. Mike, motivated but unfocused. 4. Right. Okay, Mike, we can do our best to get you through that today. We're definitely going to get you above a 5 in my opinion. Cracking on, Nathan. Well done. Jessica's a 7. Great stuff. Now, what I want to do before we move on, I was really interested in, we're going to talk about a couple of things we have talked about before, but how did everyone react to staying positive? Great. Sarah's a 6. How did everyone react yesterday to the news we were going to lock down for 3 more weeks? That was official. Can you put those in the chat box? Just make sure, if you could, just put it to all panelists and attendees and everyone can see it, if that's okay. Pascal wasn't surprised. Great. I expected we'd be locked down for longer than the extra 3 weeks, to be honest. Yeah, yeah, Nathan, what we all expected. Great. Yeah, it was interesting. I have to say, I don't think this resonates with anybody. My initial feeling was to feel a little bit negative, a little bit down. Just because it was not particularly good news, because it could have been positive news, it could have been come out, but that wasn't the reality. For most of us, as you said quite rightly, we weren't surprised. It was as to plan. I've no doubt that we're going to be into May, at least into May, if not June, before we actually start to lock down. And the government has to repeat it every 3 weeks, as my understanding is. They have to every 3 weeks either continue lockdown or not continue lockdown. But what really was interesting for me is, and I know this, but it doesn't necessarily help it and doesn't make any difference, is my feelings were directly affected by some information, but the situation hadn't changed and wasn't any more or different than I'd expected. However, I chose for a little while to feel a little bit further down than I would normally do. So it's just good to understand that often our feelings are based on our interpretation of events and evidence, but nothing had really changed based on what we'd expected. So I just felt that was useful from my perspective to self-reflect. Hopefully, if anyone did something similar, it's worth just understanding and thinking about that. Great. Okay. So what's really interesting is for me is going back to this slide that we look at often, is that my suggestion is we're definitely now, for most of us, through that lockdown, that insecurity phase. We know this is the new norm. So we do have an amazing opportunity, and we're working with more and more businesses where we're actually looking at this opportunity phase. We're saying, okay, we know where we are. Now let's plan the future, because if we plan and take action now, we've got a great opportunity to take advantage of what it's going to be like on the other side of this. Now, we know different businesses will be affected in different ways, but most businesses have an opportunity to get ahead of the competition by planning and training. The great thing being even furloughed team can train, so we can work on some training and some plans and some additional marketing. So from my perspective, it really is about looking to the future and dealing with the now. Okay, keep the comments coming. Thanks, guys. There's some great comments in there. We'll keep doing that. Now, we've got Wendy coming on. It'll probably be in about 20 minutes or so. And I just wanted to go through this. Now, most of you have seen these again, so we're just going to go through as a summary. Well, before we do that, has anybody got any particular challenges we could work on? Anybody got any particular challenges? I want to make these sessions as interactive as possible to help people. Wendy's going to talk about Granson's situation later on. Anyone got anything that would like to go through? Okay, we'll put them in the chat box if you do. I'm going to go through, what I'd like to do is just for those of you that haven't seen it, we're going to go reasonably swiftly through our 11-step process just to see where we are. I get you to mark yourself out of 10. There's a comment there, Mike. Anyone else getting overwhelmed with self-direction without client projects? Oh, great one, Mike. Mike, could I unmute you? Might be just having a quick talk about that. Let's have a talk and just see if anyone else is, but let's understand that a bit more. Are you okay if I unmute you, Mike? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not on the computer with the mic. Okay, well, look, when you're ready, just let me know you're ready, and let's unmute you and have a chat. We'll crack on with. Let's crack on with these points, and forgive me if you have seen these before, but I think it's really important, even if you've seen them, mark yourself out 10 where you are, and look at any actions that you can do to take you up a notch. Okay, so positive communication. There is very little. If we're not positive, what's the alternative? And as leaders of ourselves, of our families, our teams, and our business, we've got to be positive. So please think about reaffirming your vision and goals. Spending 5 minutes every day, having a vision for what it's going to be like in 3, 4, 5 years' time, when this is a significant but a distant memory, is really, really key, because the business goals don't need to change. The plan will probably need to change based on the current situation, but the goals, there's no reason we can't still reconnect with our goals. Yeah, okay, worst case, we might be 6 months later than we planned, but there's no reason if the goals, we can't catch up back to where we are. Do we have the right level of passion and enthusiasm? Are we strong enough? Yeah, we want to focus on survival, and I had a great session with a client this morning, and they do want to focus on a survival model, but accept that we also need to work on a growth model too, because just survival, if you just survive, that's the best you're going to get. But if you've got a plan for growth, we've got a better chance of getting past the other way. And let's make sure we're communicating with all our people, because we are now remote and distributed. So let's make sure we're having more regular communications and chats. Do we need to change the model? Now, we've seen several clients and businesses we're working with have changed the model. I'm hoping to get another one on next week and looking at the pivoting their model from being a more retail customer comes to them model to going online and doing some amazing things with an online experience, an online model that's gone really, really well. So until I've confirmed that, I won't let you know anymore, but please keep looking at the emails you get with regard to these sessions. We're probably going to become more a drop-in session. We'll talk about challenges, and we're going to help you through some of these things. So more a support set of webinars, but we also want to introduce new ideas. We'll have new marketing-based strategies for you. We'll have a number of different things. Yeah, our formula for change is quite key to be thinking about. But we talk about pivots. So can we pivot our business? Now, we believe it may just be a number of lots of small pivots. We don't necessarily have to do one massive change, although several of the businesses that we're involved with are doing that, a massive change. But what about lots of small changes just to deal with the current situation? What's the opportunity? Now, for every challenge, there's an opportunity, and there will be a lot of opportunity in this marketplace right now and through to the other side. One of the ways to think about it is, for me, is just to say, okay, the situation may not look great, but if it was amazing, what would it look like? And what would we have done to have made it amazing? What are some of the steps we might have taken that maybe don't take a lot of time, effort, and energy, but keep us focused on how do we make this great. Yeah, someone's probably thriving even in our industry. So how are they thriving? We don't have to be we don't have to do unique thinking. We can actually look into the marketplace and see what other people are doing and do something similar. It's cool market research, guys. Very valuable thing to do right now. Just look out into the marketplace and try and find one or two businesses that are doing really well that are similar to mine, and just see what they're doing. And maybe we could do something like it. Maybe we want to make it a bit more tailored to what we do, but let's find out what other people are doing. It's a great point to actually look at leveraging what we do, put systems in place, because right now, if we're not actually delivering project work or client work or delivering our products or services, maybe we can look at putting the systems in place, which means we're ready for the growth that should come at some point. As we know, virtual is the new normal. So what are we doing to support our customers, our suppliers, our teams? Technology is key, but it is still human management is crucial, and the idea of remote virtual leadership is really, really key. We ran a webinar on that last week, I think, or possibly the previous week. It's a recording on our YouTube channel. So if anyone like that, please drop us an email and we'll send you a link to it. It was all about how to lead people, whether that's our team members, our clients, our suppliers, remotely using the technology we have. Obviously, social distancing is the new norm. In fact, and lockdown is the new norm. And it's just making sure we're dealing with those situations. I think this loneliness thing is quite key, even in a group of people, even if we're surrounded by family, even if we are, we might feel alone in our business or in our job. So let's make sure we try and remove that from as many people as we can. How we're going to run meetings, how we can do reporting and planning. We know these things need to be done. I'll just get you to mark yourself out of 10. If you're 9 or 10 out of 10, probably you're pretty much there. If you're below that, what can you do to improve your reporting and planning? And if we're starting to move in this training and opportunity phase, reporting and planning is really key, to know what we're all doing, to agree what we're doing, and having meetings to plan, even on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis. Let's make sure we're planning effectively. Cash flow, a bit obvious, but we need to be on top of cash. For many of us, some of our costs and our expenses are still going out, but income may have reduced. So how do we manage that cash flow? First thing is to forecast it. Really, really key. We have a cash flow forecast in place. And again, if any of you don't have a cash flow forecast, we have some simple tools we can help you with. So please email us and we'll send you those and talk you through them. We might want to cut unnecessary costs, and extend credit, but please understand and remember the difference between a cost and an investment. We should still be looking to invest in areas that are going to give us a return right now and in the short to medium term. So please don't just cut everything. Look at what return you're getting, and if things can be delayed, that's probably a good idea, that if they won't impact the success of the business. Yeah, make sure we're communicating and keeping our suppliers and partners informed, and therefore keeping them in our gang. If they don't know we're still open for business, or it's still planning to be open for business, then they might go elsewhere. Now, the government programs in place for cash flow. Wendy's kind enough to talk us through some of the experiences she's had helping her clients apply for the local grants available in the York area, and some of you might benefit from having listening to her and maybe asking her a few questions. But obviously, there's also loans, the business interruption loans, etc. So please let's keep on top of that. Postpone what we can, as we said, but make sure we understand the difference between investment and costs. Maybe look at changing the cost structures. But ultimately, if we're still operating as a business, we can still sell our way out of this. We can still bring more income in to cover the costs. It just may be we need to work out how. What's different? How do we do it differently? And how do we generate revenue from the business, the systems, the products and services we currently have, or similar ones that we can deliver? Everyone okay so far? Please shout any questions or any comments as we go through, and if you want any to discuss anything, we'll do that. When Mike's ready, we'll come back to Mike and just talk through where he is. Marketing must shift, but it must keep going. We must keep marketing. If we're planning to have a business the other side of these challenges, we must keep marketing in some form. It may be reduced, it may be different, but please keep marketing. Message's got to be different and relevant to the current circumstance. In my opinion, any business that is still marketing exactly the same as they were before this challenge is going to be seen as totally out of not really understanding the situation that their potential clients are in. So we've got to be really key on the message. Think about compassion is really key, but also urgency. if we expect our customers not to buy, then guess what they're going to do? Not buy. So let's tell them that our products and services are out there and why they should be buying them now if they're relevant to helping them through the current challenges. And there's lots of businesses whose products and services are really valuable right now. So let's keep telling our customers we're here and how we can help them. And if we can go virtual and viral, then that's going to be the best way to do this right now, as we know. But yeah, our suggestion, in all honesty, is to do more than we were before. Sometimes we need to do more just to get the same message out. But I actually personally believe we do more. We're at the impact of our marketing is going to be way more right now because many of our competitors aren't doing that. Mike, it looks like you might be on at some point. So let me know when you feel you're on and you've got your mic, and we'll unblock you. Okay, so know the numbers. Please know our numbers. If you don't know your marketing, your sales numbers, and your financial numbers, please get some help in that. We can actually provide you with some checklists and things to do so. But if we don't know our numbers, then we don't know where we are. It's a bit like driving your car without having a dashboard, without knowing your speed, how much fuel you've got in the tank, even what direction you're traveling in. It's really, really key, more than ever before in these challenging times, to know our numbers. Sales with compassion. Yeah, you know, our message and our tone must change. We know what the situation is, and we've got to adapt our message to meet the situation. And we've got to focus on how we can help clients. If we can get out there, and that might be just asking them, let's get in touch with clients, especially our best ones, and ask them what their current challenges are and how we might be able to help them. But let's not keep selling, guys. Selling is a fundamental part of anybody buying something. Nothing was ever bought without someone selling something. So let's be clear that our products and services, the value of our products and services to our marketplace, and if they're still relevant, then we're there. You're often asked to speak. Great. No, that's good, Mike. Okay, look, let's just take a break from the sixth step, and let's get Mike on. Mike, am I going to the Inkblock Films? You registered twice. I'm wondering if let's allowed to talk. I'm going to do the Inkblock Films, and we'll see where we go. Here we go. Yeah, right. Mike, are you there?
Yes.
Are you there, Mike? Brilliant. Yes. Welcome. How are you?
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I am pretty good. Generally speaking, thanks. Hello, everybody.
Good. Yeah, welcome. It's great to speak to you. So, I know obviously the couple of things that I just wanted to talk to you about. When you sort of marked yourself out of 10, you felt a bit you were motivated but unfocused at about a 4, and then obviously you said, what did you actually say? Yeah, is anyone else getting overwhelmed with self-direction without client projects? Just talk a little bit more about that, because I'm sure you aren't the only one, and let's just talk about how we can maybe get that motivation and focus up.
Yeah, well, I guess for me, it's easy to get distracted and focused on the task at hand when a client calls you up and gives you a job, and you just automatically switch into business mode, and you do what you have to do. And for me, at least, there's lots of things on the business that I'm constantly sat there thinking, oh, I know how to do this, and now I've got time to do it, instead of me actually powering through it like I thought I would, which I am doing. It's taking 2, 3, 4, 5 times longer than I expected, and now I'm at the feedback stage, and that's pretty difficult as well. So I don't know if anyone else is getting to work on things with the business that normally they struggle with, and actually finding it harder than they thought it would be. It just seems like an avalanche of things.
So it sounds like, forgive me if I got it wrong, firstly it's about getting that momentum to start stuff, and it feels from what you've said like it's stuff that you probably don't really want to do. You've done all the stuff that you do want to do, probably the stuff that we love and we're good at, and now we're on to the stuff that we either don't love or we're not good at, or a bit of both.
Yeah, challenging things that I'm not as experienced in, I guess, outside of my comfort zone, whether I like them or not.
Great. Okay. How valuable are they to you and your business right now that you do them?
I think without these things, it's the systems and processes and automations that I think will allow the business to grow. I've been doing what I do for 10 years and I've not managed to grow where I want it to be. And I think without these things in place, the business will probably stall and never get to where I want it to be. So it's critical, I think, which is the annoying part.
Okay. You think or you know?
I know, yeah. Everyone talks about these things.
Sorry, I can't stop coaching people. Right, so You know it's valuable. What's your self-talk? One of the challenges, I'm trying to think, there's a great book that we're reading at the moment about self-talk, but what's the self-talk when you're looking at doing these things? You've got these systems to do. So what are you saying to yourself about these things that you've got to do? What's your language?
Get them down, prioritize them. Don't worry too much about the emotional baggage that the tasks might carry, but do some work on it every day, even if it's a small amount of work to keep the ball rolling.
Okay, that's a great way of looking at it. Is the language around it being a negative thing to do? Like, I've got to do it because, like, if I don't do it, then it's a must have to do. Would that be any part of your sort of self language?
I don't think so. I think it is generally positive. I think the negativity comes from constantly underestimating the amount of time things actually take in the real world versus how long I think they're going to take.
That happens. A couple of things, and the reason I said it is that one of the things that's helped me is to change the language about what I've got to do. So rather than say I've got to do some systems, I've got to do some systems, and I know I don't like systems. I would say I've got to work on the growth of my business.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Because you said the systems are about growing your business. If you don't do them, the business won't grow. So what you're actually doing is growing your business.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And it's repositioning. There's a great phrase of learning to love the things we hate, but for me, it's about repositioning the things that we don't like as being things we do like. I do want business growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to make more money. I'm about to do stuff that's going to make me way more money.
Yeah. Okay.
Brad Sugar's our founder. He's got a great phrase. Yeah, please do. Please do. Brad, our founder's got a great phrase about systems, about leverage. So the leverage, which is primarily systemization, is do the work once, get paid forever.
Yeah, that's what motivates me, and I know that if I put these things in place, that we'll be able to, things will just drop into where they need to be, and we can bring people in to supply the demand if it grows. But at the moment, we could get crippled if we got a big job. We don't have the systems in place to manage it on any level.
Right.
Well, we don't even have the systems in place to attract that many jobs in the first place. So yeah, you're right.
Brilliant. I mean, I hope that helps you, but it for me, it does help me just to reposition it as stuff that I really want to do. I really want to grow my business, and this is one of the things that's going to help me. And also, the fact that if I systemize something, I don't have to do it again. So if it's something I don't like to do, I'm going to spend a short amount of time, to save time. Here's a good one for you and maybe everybody. Here's a great way to look at systems. If you can think of something, right. First question. Would you like in the future, when we can do, Mike, would you like an extra week a year out of holiday?
Oh, yes. It feels like at the moment.
Great. Okay, an extra week. Brilliant. So an extra week a year of holiday. I can give you that right now, or you can give yourself that right now. If you can find one thing that you do that takes you 10 minutes that you do every day that you could systemize and pass to somebody else. 10 minutes a day for a year. 10 minutes a day in a year is a week of time.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good. I like that.
Work it out. Please work it out. But just one thing that you do takes you 10 minutes. You do it every day. Systemize it. Pass it on to somebody else. You've saved yourself a week, so you can go on an extra week's holiday. So, just maybe a potential way of just relating, doing something that's perhaps not top of your list to make it top of your list, because I imagine for many of us going on an extra week's holidays could be top of our list.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. And the other thing I do, say, Mike, if we've not talked about it before, is plan tomorrow at the end of today, or great point on Friday, plan next week today, just get a rough idea what you're going to do next week, put those things in at certain points so you're making a commitment to do them. And then every day, as I say, every day at the end of the day, plan tomorrow and put those things in and make sure you've got those things you planned in last week in, and commit to do at least one of those things. We've got a sheet you can use if you're welcome to. We call it the frog sheet. It's based on the book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. The frog being the ugly thing you don't want to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do one every day. just say, first thing I do every day is eat a frog, and then the rest of the day is going to be easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I haven't read that book for a while, actually. I can reread it again.
Cool. Good man. So you know it. Brilliant. Okay, and Pascal's just saying she systemised the wages and saved her 4 hours a month. So that's pretty cool. That's an afternoon. So for those of you that like golf, that's a golf game a month just by doing one thing. Well done, Pascal. Great, Mike. Thank you so much. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Definitely been taking notes. So thanks.
Brilliant. Very welcome. I'll mute you now, and we'll move on. Great. So guys, just going back to where we are, and then we hopefully Wendy will come on in about 5-10 minutes. So sell with compassion, sell on purpose. Make sure we're clear on what our purpose is. Make sure people understand why we're doing what we're doing, so that they can then connect that with why we feel selling, helping them buy our products or services is key. And it's always been a relationship game, so let's make sure that we understand relationships matter even more importantly now. But of course, how we build a relationship is slightly different if we're not actually face to face with people. We're finding it is still very similar using the new technology, but there might be some slightly different things we might want to do or not do. Customer service is key. One of the most important things to have success coming out of this challenge is to keep as many of our customers as we have. So anything we can do to keep our clients, for them extra things, or just work out how we can serve them in a different way if it still keeps them as a client is important. Anything above and beyond the call of duty is key, and build that loyalty that you'll be repaid for in the future. And even if there isn't a cash reward right now, there'll be a profit reward. We'll get stuff back in the future. But again, as I said, the way we communicate and the way we keep clients might be different in the virtual world. Critical non-essentials are a term coined by an Australian dentist called Paddy Lund, which are doing things for your client that are not essential to the business that we do, the service we deliver or the product, but critical to the relationship. So they're the things that give the client a great experience alongside the great outcome for delivering our product or service. So what can you do to make your clients feel special? And profit is made by retaining clients. There's way more profit made by keeping clients than there is on bringing new clients on, because there's a cost involved in bringing new clients on. So there is no point really filling a bucket if it's full of holes. If we're losing clients left, right, and centre, then filling it up is just going to keep emptying. So what can we do to keep our clients? Look at our people. Are we presenting a focused mindset to allow them to make sure they're focused, or are we appearing to be fearful? It really will set the tone for our team. Set new standards. We've got to be seen leading, because if you do have a team, the non-verbal communication happens all the time. So your team seeing you walk into the office and how you behave is going to have an impact on them. If they don't see that anymore, we have to replace that with more direct communication. And let's see if any of our team can go from cost into profit in this current situation. And a great opportunity now in this opportunity phase, and a furlough team can train as much as anybody else, get people trained up. And let's keep as many as we can, because we will have opportunities in the future. Mindset's key. So daily rituals, I think I said earlier, a visualization routine just to visualize how it's going to be in another 3 to 5 years when we're way past this current challenge. Plan tomorrow at the end of today and next week at the end of this week. Those sorts of key rituals are going to make a difference. And keep, if we're not delivering as much work, let's learn and grow. Let's do the systems as Mike's looking to do it, and let's make the best out of where we are. And find small wins each day, but celebrate them. So a gratitude for those of you that like our frog sheet. One of the things it says on that sheet is, what did I achieve today? Let's be really key at the end of every day. What did I achieve? And celebrate and have some gratitude for doing so. And yeah, it's funny, we talk about sometimes no news is good news. I think we all knew we were going to be locked down for another 3 weeks, but sometimes actually not knowing it is as valuable as knowing it. Number 10. So, and we'll be on to Wendy in about 5 minutes, which is great. Let's make sure we've got a key plan. For those of you, if anyone hasn't been on a 90-day planning session, please let us know, and you'll probably be in communication with one of our guys, but we'll run another one. It won't be next Tuesday, it'll be the week after. So it'll be in about 10 days' time. We'll run another 90-day planning session. And those of you that have got a plan, if you want to come and review it, you're welcome to. Let's work out what we're going to market and sell, because it might be different for the next 90 days, and how we need to change. And as we said, yeah, we've got to survive, but thriving is more important. Work with us as much as you can. We've got our gifted coaching session. So if you're not a formal client of ours, we're really happy to help you on an ad hoc basis for now, just to help you get through these challenges. So please think about how we can help you, and please take advantage of these opportunities, because we're really here to help. But yeah, look to invest. I think the stock market's down to about is only about 20% of where it was now. It has taken a bit of a bounce up, but things are up. Things are up for sale at a discount right now. So it may not be the stock market if we don't have cash to invest, but companies or competitors could be up for sale in terms of not wanting to continue the other side of this business. And unfortunately, for those companies that do go out of business, their customers are there. So let's make sure we're marketing to attract and keep these customers. And as we said, we're in a bit of an economic winter right now, but we will go to spring at some point. Again, we've all got a different opinion what that would be, but it will happen. So let's make sure we've got at least a plan and some systems in place to allow us to deal with that. But whatever we do, take action, guys, because if we're not, then somebody else is. So let's make sure we take some action and move forward. So just in a quick summary, and I get you just to think about where you are and what you want to deal with, and then we're going to talk about specifically the loan side. Make sure we've got some plans in place, long-term vision, 90-day plans, then weekly and daily, what I'm going to do. Leadership, as we said, how do we deal with it remotely? How frequently we do it? We're going to talk a bit more about finances, specifically around the grant situation in the York area with Wendy in a couple of minutes' time. How are we dealing with our team? Probably most of us have got through that right now. As for those of you on the call with the Bridge Employment Law guys, they've done a lot of work helping people furlough team over the last couple of weeks, and they're starting to see things just drop off a bit now. I think many businesses have got through that stage. Marketing, really, really key. Let's get a marketing plan. Number one plan to have is a marketing plan. How you tell your clients you're still here and that you will still be here through this, and help the ones that want to buy. I've worked, I think, with about 4 clients this week, all of which have had inbound lead generation. People have come in and said, I'm interested in what you do. Anything from kitchen suppliers and manufacturers to mortgage companies to people are starting to get business coming in. And if you're not, let's work out how we do that with some effective marketing. And obviously find how we need to sell, because selling might be different right now. It might be more an online sale process than a more direct sale process as it was before. Let's look at ourselves, make sure our mental and physical health is there, our mindset. How do we deal with our own personal finances? Have we looked at anything we need to do to make sure we're secure? And just look at our own situation with our family and friends. So hopefully that's a sort of summary, I think, of the 11 sets we have. Has anyone got any questions or comments on that? And then we're going to go on to talk to Wendy about grant funding and the things she's experienced and the help she's given. Any comments or any questions before we move on? No? Good. Okay. Everyone's on it. That's wonderful. So now, Wendy, hopefully you're here. We're going to ask you to give us a little bit of information. Wendy, I'm going to unmute you and allow you to talk, if that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Brilliant. Welcome. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. I get you obviously to talk a little bit about yourself and your business right now, but just my sort of interpretation of where you are. You've obviously got the Blake House group of buildings where you're providing business support services to local businesses.
That's right. Yes.
What was interesting for me is obviously a lot of your clients had to go into lockdown. You don't have as many people coming into the building. I'm not sure if you've still got people coming into the building, but you could have put your head in your hands and done nothing. But you chose to instead help your clients look at the local situation. I know you've been a real driving force to get many of your clients and other people access to grants and speed up the grant process just by being a figurehead for that. So it'd be great if you could. I'm interested to know why you chose to do that, because you could have just put your head in your hands.
Yeah.
And what you've learned. So
Okay.
What were your thoughts? What was your thought processes?
So I suppose I'm in a slightly different position to a lot of businesses in that my clients are also businesses, and my direct income is based on the survival of my clients' businesses. Because
Yeah.
if my clients are still doing okay and their businesses are doing okay, then they can still afford to pay their rent. So it was almost like two wins in this. Obviously, I get to help all the people that I care about that are part of the Blake House family, because I want to see all of those businesses survive, get through this, get back to Blake House, so that we're all still together and all still surviving. But then at the same time, I'm also sort of protecting my own business, because if my guys gain access to everything that they should have, and that their businesses can survive and thrive, then I'll still get my rent and I can still carry on with Blake House. So I'm really passionate about what the company does in terms of providing this kind of space, and I think it's so important for small businesses to have access to a professional space. So I didn't want it to disappear. I didn't want it to be a casualty, and I wanted it to still be there for your businesses on the other side. So that was the motivation.
Well done, and you've been incredibly active. I know to speak to you, there was a bit of comfort zone, getting outside your comfort zone a little bit to do this. So what did you actually do over the next? I mean, I think over the last sort of 3 weeks you've been incredibly active. What are some of the steps you took?
Yeah, so I suppose it's sort of organically grown in that I had a few of my tenants just sort of coming to me asking about their specific situation. I just wanted to go and find out instantly, anyone with a business premises, what can they gain access to, because I just knew that all of my guys were going to be in that position, so I wanted to find out that information straight away. So I sort of read what I could and found out about that, and then as we've been going on, different people have been coming to me and sort of saying, okay, well, this is my situation, what can I get? And just sort of making sure that people were getting what they were entitled to, because it surprised me the amount of conversations I was having with people several weeks in that still were not aware of what they could possibly claim. And speaking to some people and sort of saying, what's your business? And they say, well, I used to have a sandwich shop in town, assuming that their business is just gone, and sort of not knowing what was there. I think as well, reading some of the economic forecasts for the possible downturn, after this, they're expecting that this region is going to be the worst hit in the country potentially, and that government money is sat there for York businesses. That we need to get that into our economy so that post this position, our region can bounce back and our businesses can bounce back. It's really important that everyone does get what they should. So in terms of, it's just been an individual thing, chatting to individual people, and then, posting on Facebook a lot about what I'm finding out as I'm going. And individual people, either Blake House people or not, putting specific questions on there about their position and, what could they gain access to. And although I'm obviously not an expert, I'm not an official person, I don't officially know this information, it's just, I think, throwing myself into that world and trying to get as much information as I can. It just means I've just picked things up that maybe other people haven't had the time to sort of go and read about. So it's been nice to help people get that information.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's been amazing, and knowing what you've done for everyone, and I know you've helped a lot of people, and I'll come on to just ask you about your knowledge of where you are right now, and obviously we'll take some questions if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you said you there are a couple of clients that potentially haven't applied for the grant or applied for the wrong grant because they didn't quite understand it. So it's worth just going through that shortly. But one thing you've done, which is something that we advocate, is you've created a community through a Facebook group. So you've got all your clients on or most of your clients on a Facebook group, and you're sharing knowledge through that community situation. Which how's that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, good. I think again, it was that initial panic decision, and it's okay. I can't, I supply an office space to my tenants, but obviously I can't sort of carry on with that they're going to have to choose whether to prioritize paying their rent to me or to someone else. So, and every business has to make that decision about who they prioritize as to who they're going to pay. So the only sort of power I had, I suppose, within my control was, how can I add extra value? How can I create that sense of community when people aren't seeing each other every day? They're not about to bump into me in the hallway. How can you still sort of maintain that sense of community and sharing and helping? So we created a closed Facebook group. We deliberately did it as a private closed group so that people could, if they wanted to, share concerns without it necessarily, getting beyond that group, and sort of ask for support and help. And we've had a number of the businesses coming forward with special offers to help other businesses that are in Blake House. So maybe what they would normally do as a service, they might well offer for free for 3 months during this lockdown. And then it's 2 wins again, because it's helping other Blake House people survive. But also on the other side, some of those tenants may well really see the value in that service that they might not have gone to find otherwise, and then hopefully we'll continue that. So it's sort of feeding into that sense of community and network. And I think people have just been happier to be able to sort of share private things on a private group. So how, in terms of me now speaking to the council and things like that, how that ended up happening was, it was just some Facebook posts that I put up when I was starting to get concerned about the fact that some of this money wasn't getting distributed very fast compared to other communities, and other councils around the country have done it a lot faster. And somehow loads of MPs and councillors ended up getting tagged in this post. And then before I knew it, the economic development planner for York City Council said, could I have a phone call with you? And he wasn't aware of a lot of the structures that were actually going on inside the council as to how these grants were being distributed, that I was hearing just being on the ground and hearing what businesses were experiencing. So and within 24 hours of that, all of a sudden there was big waves of people getting their grant money through and things. So I do think that it wasn't just me, obviously, there was lots of other people doing things, but I just think that shake up on social media really did shine the light on the speed that was needed to get this money in people's hands quickly, because some people's businesses had already paid out all of their fixed costs on the first of the month, and then they were just waiting for this money to come in, so it was urgent.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's a great example of being a leader, not just for our own teams, but for our clients, and helping them and creating a community, which is something that we advocate a lot in building that customer loyalty. As you say, so some may or may not stay with you because they maybe not be able to, but you're creating that desire or desire to stay for as many people as possible. So that's wonderful. So thank you so much. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to ask you just to talk through what you just that it's a quick overview of a couple of things. I know there's a business rate relief, microloans. If anyone's got any questions while Wendy's just going through that, if they'd just like to put them in the chat box, and obviously then we can maybe just ask Wendy any specifics on that. But could you just tell us, what the particular loads of grants that you've helped people?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the basic big one that most people should be applying for is the premises grant. So that is any commercial premises that you receive communication from the council in relation to business rates. So a lot of businesses that I've come across have been in the mistaken belief that if they were getting small business rate relief, i.e. the bills were coming through as zero, it meant that they weren't entitled to this, whereas it's totally the opposite. If your bills have been coming through as zero, it means that you have a rateable value of less than 15,000, and it means that you can claim the £10,000 grant. And this isn't something that you need to apply for and you might be selected. This is an automatic, it is yours. So I've seen various people as if they're applying for it to be chosen, and that isn't the case. If you have a business premises that's classified for business rates and you receive small business rate relief on it, then you will get the £10,000 grant through the government portal. Again, if anyone needs link for things, I can share that, but it's quite easy to find on the government portal. Larger premises, we only have one of those at Blake House. We have Blake and Butler Hair Salon, which is on the ground floor, that falls into this category, but there's a couple of other people I've spoken to. If their premises is slightly larger, so the rateable value is worth 15 to 51,000, then they'll get a £25,000 grant. Unfortunately, any business centres where, like, I don't know if we just do this, but more like that sort of style where all of your bills and everything are all included and you don't have your separate classification, unfortunately you don't get this because you are not the ratepayer. So that's the main thing. Are you the ratepayer? Do you get a bill? And if so, you are entitled to a premises grant. So that's the first major one. And as far as I'm aware, we've been battling with the council all week. They are trying to get everyone paid by close of business today. So I've been busily gathering a list of all the people I know that haven't been paid yet, that I've just been sending over to the council for them to specifically pull out and look at. So hopefully by the end of the day, most people will be paid. Next week, the council have said that they're going to start turning their attention to trying to find people who haven't applied yet. Maybe people who don't realise they're entitled to it, and they're going to try and get them to apply. So the next thing is, I see quite a lot of confusion between when people say they're self-employed as to what they can get. So the major distinction is, are you a sole trader or are you a director of a limited company? People sort of get the two sort of in the same category. If you are a sole trader, meaning that every year you submit tax returns, private tax returns, you are going to get 80% as if it was like a salary. And how they will calculate that is they'll take your average monthly profit. So they'll take a yearly profit, divide it by 12, and that will become almost like a monthly salary. They'll calculate that by taking the tax years that finished in 2017, 2018, and 2019. They'll take an average of those 3 years, divide it by 12, and that will give you your average monthly profit. They're going to roll up this into 3 months in one lump sum payment that will cover the months of March, April, and May, and you should get that lump sum beginning of June, maybe earlier. And then they'll just pay that monthly if this carries on going on. This one you don't need to apply for, they'll be contacting you if you're eligible. So that's the main one that most people don't know about yet, because there's no portal, nobody's being contacted. So people are sat thinking they're not getting anything, but in actual fact they are. It's just in the process of being calculated at the moment. If you're a director of a limited company, then you can, if you want to, furlough yourself. Because if you are an employee on the PAYE system, you're an employee the same as anyone else. So you can furlough yourself if your job in effect has become redundant. And then you're treated just the same as any other member of staff. But of course, it's based on what you pay yourself through the PAYE system, not on your dividends that you might pay yourself. So for many company owners, that might only be £500 a month that will be being paid, because you'll get 80%, the same as any other employee. So, but still £500 is sort of still worth having. And just as a little, I suppose, tip around this, there's quite a few company directors that might sort of freelance in whatever they do, and they don't want to furlough themselves because they don't want to stop working. But what you are actually allowed to do is to furlough yourself as an employee of your limited company. But then you could still go and do some freelance work, or just invoice it as a private person. You effectively sort of have two hats. You have the employee of your company, but you're allowed to go off and do something else just as a private individual and invoice for that, and that's allowed. So it's just a way of potentially furloughing yourself, but actually still carry on a freelance basis. kind of allowed. Obviously, I'm sure people have heard of this. If they have staff, you can furlough any staff that you don't need at the moment that you would otherwise make redundant, effectively put them on garden leave. You carry on paying them, and you can claim back 80% of their salary through the portal, which is due to open on the 20th of April. So we've got 3 days for that portal to be open to claim back the money for March and April. If you're going down that route, it's up to you whether you want to pay that member of staff just the 80% or whether you want to carry on paying them the 100%. That's your choice, but you can only claim the 80% back up to a maximum of £2,500 a month. So they're I suppose the big basic things that people should be aware of. And then sort of more minor issues are the HMRC are not gathering or don't have to gather any VAT or tax. So as long as you haven't got any direct debits or standing orders, whatever set up, you just don't have to send in any VAT or tax until next year. If you do have direct debits and stuff set up or standing orders rather set up, it's worth going in and cancelling those because otherwise your payments will go. And then I am speaking to quite a few people who basically sort of fall between the cracks of a lot of these different schemes. So maybe they're only fairly recently set up, or they just don't fit in. And I'm urging them to get in contact with Universal Credit. So I think there's a bit of a stigma attached to it because people just think of it as the benefit system, but it's just been massively rolled out. They're just using it as an official easy system because it's already in place. So there's someone I know that only started up in business 6 months ago. So she falls and she doesn't have her own premises, so she completely falls through the gaps of all of these different things. And it took me about 2 weeks to persuade her because she was saying, well, there's no way I'm going to get anything at all from Universal Credit. And she was really surprised that actually within a fortnight she got £400, and then she gets, I think it's like £450 a month, and then she's getting her rent paid as well. And she was just really surprised that she was getting anything. And that's very much based on individual circumstances. But if you do fall between the cracks of these, then that is definitely worth applying for. Also, York has a specific micro grant, which is just a lump sum of cash that they've put aside to give £1,000 grants to businesses that fall between the cracks of any of the other schemes. So again, that's York City Council website. That's literally on a first come first served basis, and I think they've got something like 300 grants left to be able to be claimed. So you'd have to sort of move on that one quite fast. And then I suppose finally, apart from all the normal things like go to your creditors and ask for your sort of payment holidays and anything that any of your banks and loans things are doing, is the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. Now this I don't have very much experience of because most of the people I know are not really taking up this option. Most of the people are trying to get by without having to take this. But if you do decide to go down this route, they've set up, I think it's called the British Bank that they've set up, where they've brought together something like 30 different lenders. And what they're asking you to do is to go to your own business bank first and to see what they're doing. And if not, you can go and choose from this range of other banks. As long as you can demonstrate that your business was viable before the lockdown, you're eligible. You can apply effectively for whatever you need to get you through this situation, and the government will pay the interest on that loan for 12 months. I don't know anyone who's taken it yet. I think it came in for a lot of criticism at the beginning because people were having to put up their own homes as security and things like this. But from what I can gather, it's got better and better. And a lot of those restrictions have been removed. So now I think it is a little bit more accessible, but I don't actually know anyone who's applied for it, and I think it's a bit slow going to get it. Just one very, very small thing as a tip that I got, which is worth knowing, because I think a lot of people are going to be applying for universal credit, and a lot of people have been put off because on the official information it says that if you have set aside money in a bank account of between 6 and 16,000, your amount of universal credit is seriously depleted. And so I think a lot of people have seen that and just thought, well, I have some money in my business, I won't apply. But actually, if you say that the money that's aside, if it's under 16,000, if the money that you have aside is because you're preparing for tax bills and things like that to do with your business, they'll actually set that aside and not take it into account. So that's just a tip, just on that front, if anyone is deciding to get some support for universal credit. I think that's probably about it, actually, the main points.
Thank you. That's very comprehensive. Thanks for that. And
sounded like a lecture, didn't it?
Well, it's really valuable, Wendy, because I think, you know, I've spoken to many people and they focused on other things first. They've focused on their team and furloughing or keeping clients on or finishing work off. And so many people, maybe including some of the people on this call, you know, don't know as much as clearly you've spent a lot of time getting that knowledge and experience. So I think it's really, really, really useful. My experience is the business interruption loans have are becoming more and more easy to apply for. They've removed any personal guarantees up to a loan of £250,000, so it's quite significant. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantees required. So, I mean, we're definitely suggesting people, if they've any likelihood of needing any additional cash, is to apply for it, because you don't need to draw it down, and even having drawn it down, if you don't spend it, the government's paying the interest for the first 12 months. If you pay it back in the first 12 months, it's cost you nothing.
It'd be interesting to know if you had any businesses that you're dealing with that have taken it as a precautionary measure, because I think as part of this, you're going through a standard loan application with them, the same as you would have done beforehand, and I think they want to see cash flow forecasts and, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know how they're viewing people taking this as a shoring up, you know, method, as a in case method. I don't know how they're dealing with that. I haven't got experience of anyone who's applied for that.
I think the original challenge, which I didn't realise till recently, was that the banks, it only applies if the banks were keen to continue to lend under their normal schemes. So that's why they wanted all this additional information. Whereas the point about the scheme is it's for an interruption in your business. So as long as you can prove your business has been interrupted, you've got a better chance of qualifying. So I think the banks had been a bit obstructive to it, but I think the government's given them a rap on the knuckles, and hopefully that I'm certainly hearing that it's being more easy. So I think people that have applied later are actually getting through more straightforwardly, because they've reduced. I mean, one of my clients who applied early has had to write a business plan, would you believe, for this process. But the whole point about this is to deal with a thing you wouldn't plan for. So how do you plan for something you don't know is going to fit it? It's nuts, in my opinion.
I mean,
there is a bit of work.
So on my own business, I have my standard business loans, and so I've just taken the option just to ask the bank what it was they were doing, and they were offering that you just pay the interest for a certain amount of time. But in order even just to say, okay, could I do that? I mean, I was doing that as a precautionary measure. They did want to see full cash flow forecasts for the rest of the year, and of course I was just having to make up numbers about, you know, what the impact was going to be. So that's what I did. But as you say, it's quite hard to show something that's accurate because nobody really knows, I suppose. But
it is a crazy situation when the banks are saying, well, how much do you need? And, you know, how long do you need it for? And you say, well, how long is it going to be on for? You know, nobody knows. But there you go. If anyone would like to ask any questions, I do have one here about the bigger grant in terms of the rate relief.
Larger premises, 25,000 grant. Yeah. Now this is I've looked into it in a small way, but not a lot, because I only have one tenant that applies to, and she falls into that category. Now, I did wonder this myself, because they are calling this larger grant, the retail, hospitality and leisure grants, but it is in effect exactly the same in terms of, you know, you pay business rates. Do you get small business relief? Yes, you get 10,000. If you don't get that, then you get 25. Because I'm trying to think what businesses it is, and there could well be some businesses that don't fall into one of those three categories, that they don't deal with retail. I mean, if you're any form of shop, you're some form of retail, hospitality or leisure. It feels like it encompasses almost all businesses. And I don't 100% quote me on this, but I do believe that there was some talk within the sort of estate agency type communities that were worried that they were not included in this. But then, as far as I understand it, it was then extended to include to those sort of businesses. So I don't know a clear definition, and I don't know upon whose definition that would be based. I mean, so for example, the lady who is in the shop is a hairdresser. So is that retail? Is it leisure? And by whose definition, I don't know. So I suppose my advice would be, if anyone was in that position and didn't know if theirs was classified or not, is just to apply for it. And see if you are. I've not seen any guidance about who is included or excluded in that definition, and it's not something I've delved into because I don't have any customers that fall into that category. But I haven't, in everywhere I've been reading, I've not seen lists of excluded or included. So I do wonder whether they've just called it that and it effectively incorporates everyone. I'm not sure.
Thanks for that, because I think that would be interesting for Pascal to have a look. And I know you've looked at it, Pascal, to some degree, but I'd agree with you, Wendy. It's probably worth applying and just see what happens, because, you know, as you say, if you know it's work for hairdressers, that wouldn't naturally. I would have thought that would be more service-based industry or something. So interesting. That's really interesting. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions? Because that's been really useful, Wendy, and I learned a few things there, so that I can help with a couple of my clients with. But I'm just seeing if there's anyone's got any questions. I can't see anything. David's obviously said he's got the business rate relief last week. Yeah. So Pascal, let us know how we go on. Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, I think you should just apply and just see what happens. Because
so what business is this one?
Pascal, I'll unmute you. I know what your business is, but you're better off saying than I do. Because I think, and just so you know, I'm a customer and I have come to your premises and bought something. So you could consider yourself retail, in my opinion. Right. Oh, Pascal, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, doing some big quotes this morning, to be honest, and listening to wonderful presentations. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I own a design and print company on Clifton Moor in a wrinkly tin shed. Our rates are higher than the limit for the small business rate relief, so we don't get that. So it's whether we can get any traction with the larger one. But we're manufacturing more than service or retail because we're printers. So it's really knowing, but I quite like the idea of just going for it and see what happens. Because the worst going to happen? They're either going to say no or they're going to say pay it back.
I mean, my gut feeling is that if there was big swathes of the economy that were missing, like people who are in manufacturing, you think there would be groups of people jumping up and down and shouting somewhere, in the same way as there are massive groups jumping up and down for the directors of limited companies at the moment that pay themselves by dividends. There's massive.
I mean, that one as well.
Right. So there's big things going on with that. They are trying to get that looked at. Unless it's because most manufacturing is so big that it would be above the 51,000 rateable value anyway, and in which case then it doesn't fall into these schemes.
No, it's not that high. But It's 22, so it's just at the top end of the other one.
Yeah.
Rate relief.
I would definitely apply for it, because there's no section where it's sort of asking you for that explanation. And as far as I'm aware, in the business rates world, I don't think they have I don't know if they have these categories anywhere, and I certainly haven't seen lists of excluded and included categories. So I think the main thing is, just apply for it.
Give it a go. See what happens.
Give it a go. Yeah.
Well, I shall give it a go, and I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
I think that's brilliant. And yeah, Pascal, I mean, honestly, I think I would suggest for everybody is position it in the best way, in the best light. So you do have a customer area, but customers do come to you and pick up product and pay for that product. So you do have a retail area, I would suggest. Therefore, you could consider you have a retail premises. If a retail premises is where customers come, you've got one.
Yeah, I mean, we sell stuff and we've got a till. So,
Yeah, you've got a till, so you take money. People buy stuff. I'm sure there's stuff I could buy off the, almost off the shelf, as well as service based. So I think you just say we are, we have a retail arm. Therefore, you're building.
I mean, when you actually go to the portal and you apply, there aren't really any sections for this anyway. There's no explanation needed. It's more a case of list of numbers and your details, and then you just apply. So I don't know if there's any nuance. I don't know if they contact you specifically after that. I've not had anyone mention that, but obviously most of my people are in the 10 grand grant, which is just for an office, so it's fairly straightforward. But yeah, you can quite easily go in, apply, and you don't need to come up with any story. You don't need anything behind it. You're literally just punching in your numbers about your company.
Okay, I'll give that a go then. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wendy. I can't see any more questions, and we'll let you know how Pascal gets on, and if she gets it, it'll be a party at Pascal's Zoom room. Let's do that. And no, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your help, Wendy, and I think thank you on behalf of all the people you've helped, because I'm sure there were people that you've helped that probably wouldn't have applied for it or might have got it wrong, and that's making a difference. So really well done, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. If anyone did want to find me on Facebook, my name is there. I'm quite easy to find. I've done just a few posts as we've been going about going into more detail on specific ones. So you're welcome to find me on Facebook and friend me there. And then obviously as we go, if I hear any more on anything, I'll be posting other resources on my page that I might find.
Yeah, please. And if you wouldn't mind, I'll keep an eye out. But if drop me a line as well, it'd be great just to let people know if there is something that's changed. So thank you.
Yeah,
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Because I know, say thank you for doing it for your clients, but thank you for coming on and helping our team here. And on that note, I think it's been brilliant, and thank you so much. And I'm sure you'll welcome anyone that's interested in coming along and checking out some of your office space. To pop in and say hello at some point.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's great. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. Okay, so just finishing up. You're really welcome. So just finish up. Please remember the 15 gifted sessions. Anyone that'd like to take advantage, please keep coming on the webinars. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to do more information, but also just general drop in, and if we can help you with a little bit of ideas, maybe hopefully we helped Mike a little bit there earlier. We'll do that. And before you go, please make a note of 5 things you're going to do differently, or at least take action on over the next couple of days. Because let's do something. Let's make some differences, and let's get some business growth moving forward. So on that note, I will. Just before we go, if you'd just like to say how you're feeling and a mark out of 10, maybe compared to where you were at the start. That's always a good way to finish, and then we will close the session. It's been a really valuable one, I think, for everybody to learn. So if you can just put how you're feeling out of 10 compared to where you were. Any thoughts? Sarah's a 7. I think you were a 6 at the start, Sarah. Yes, you were. Brilliant. That's a good start. Pasca's an 8. Pasca's always at least an 8, so that's great. 6 or 7, Mike. I think that was from 4. So brilliant. I'm really, really pleased. Wonderful. Okay, guys. Well, if you want to just add that in as we go, that's great. On that note, again, thanks to Wendy. Thanks to everyone for participating and communicating. And we will see you again on Monday at 12:30. Right. Thanks, guys. Bye now.